Hello, first graders. Yesterday we were talking about snap words and how sometimes we can invent poems or rhymes or songs to help us make less mistakes when we're writing our snap words. So, yesterday I want to review, we talked about the word said. And said is a tricky word because when we say it, it sounds like this. S-E-D. Many times, first graders will write it that way, but it's really spelled SAID. So, how can we remember that word? Well, when you've said something, it's kind of like you say something. And when you think of the word said and the word say, they both have an SA. So a good way to remember the word said is think of the word say and think, oh, I know it's SA and not SE. I thought I'd share another little trick with you. This snap word is the word for the number 3. And when I think of 3, I think of the word tree because 3 and tree rhyme. And when you look at the word 3 and the word tree, you can notice that the word tree is in the word 3. The only letter that's extra is the H. It's almost the same word. You just have to sneak that H in there, and there it is. 3 and tree. Another fun trick, this is one of my favorites, and my first graders know this, is the word look. When I look at the word look, I see these two O's in the middle, and I think of little eyeballs. And I tell the kids you can draw your eyes in there and pretend that somebody is looking at you. So that's a good way to remember that word. Well, I'm going to tell you a story. When I was in first grade and my teacher gave me my list of snap words, she said, you just need to remember these words. You need to memorize them. So I would go around walking to my bus stop and I'd take the word from and I'd go F-R-O-M, F-R-O-M, F-R-O-M. I would brush my teeth and go mm. And I would say it over and over when I go to bed. F-R-O-M, F-R-O-M, F-R-O-M. Oh, it was so hard for me because I always thought I had to memorize the words. Well, Dr. Brown says kids don't need to memorize words. They need to think about why they're spelled a certain way. And if they're a little bit tricky, they're usually only tricky in one part. If we look at this word, the word from, it kind of follows that rule because I notice when I look at this word and I say it, from, the fur is an FR blend. I know that already. And when I say from, I can hear the M sound. The only tricky part is this tricky O because it says instead of O. It's not from, it's from. So that's the part that I have to notice when I spell that word and remember that tricky part. So today, I thought I would take two words and we're going to decide, is it spelled like it sounds or is it tricky? Spelled like it sounds or is it tricky? So I'm going to take this word. I bet you'll recognize this word from yesterday. It's the word wait. Oh, sorry, I should put it in the middle. Wait. If you say wait, if I look at this, I see that the AI in the middle makes the A sound. Wait. I think that one is spelled like it sounds. So I'm going to put it on this side. Now I'm going to take this word. I know you've seen this word before. And this word says very. Very. When I look at this word, very, I can hear the sound, but you don't say very, right? And the Y makes an E sound at the end, and that can be tricky too. So I'm going to put that on the tricky side. Wait and very. So it just means that you have to study these words very slowly when you're writing them. So let's go through some more snap words and let's decide where they go. How about this word? It's the word run. When I say the word run, I can sound it out. Un, run. Is it spelled like it sounds? Or do you think that one's kind of tricky? I think you're right. I think that one's spelled like it sounds. So I'm going to put it on this side with wait. All right, let's try this one. The next word is for. For. I have a letter for you. Well, OR says or, and this is, so if you put them together, or it says for. Did you think that was tricky? I don't think so. I think that one should go by spells like it sounds. We're going to put that on that side. All right, let's try this one. This is the word they. They. Well, when I say that word, I see the word the, but I don't say the with a Y. That would be hard. And the end part says A, and I don't see an A. I think this E right here makes this word kind of tricky, don't you? So I'm going to put it over here. And I probably should have put this for the Y too, because the Y makes that one tricky. And the ER is tricky in this word too. How about this word? The word you. You are so special. You. What do you think about this word? Do you think it's spelled like it sounds? Or is it tricky? Let's sound it up. Ya, ah, ooh. Ya, ah, I don't think I say the word you that way. I don't know if it's spelled like it sounds. I think that one might be tricky. So let's put it over here. And it kind of makes the ya sound, but these two parts are kind of tricky because it doesn't say oh, and it doesn't say ow, it says ooh. So that makes it tricky. How about this word? Oh, this is one of my favorites. I like apples. Like. I like school. I like being a teacher. Like. Now, if I look at this word, sometimes people will say lick, but it has that magic E. And if you know that magic E says E, that won't be so tricky. But if you're not sure and you're going really quick, it can fool you. So, what do you think? Should we do spelled like it sounds or tricky? I think that one might be on the tricky side. Put that over there. All right. And the last one is look. Now, I love this word look because, of course, I love to make the little eyes in this one. But this also reminds me of some other words that I know. So this is kind of a special word. I think when you say it, we know that O can go ook. So I feel like it's kind of spelled like it sounds. But I want to show you something that's kind of fun about this word too. I'm going to flip my cards over and push them over to the side. And flip this over here. I'm going to write the word look. And I want to show you one thing that's kind of neat about this word. Sometimes when you know a snap word, it doesn't always have to be a trick or a rhyme, but in some ways, this is just sort of a fun way to remember. If you look in your book, you might find the picture she took. Sometimes we can recognize a snap word by other words that share the same thing. All of these words have one thing in common. Do you know what that is? I bet you guessed it right away. They all have an O-O-K. So that is one way I remember, because look and book and took are all very similar, almost all the same. Well, you've done such a good job and you are so smart. I was going to save this for next week or maybe even next year. Give it to your second grade teacher. But I was going to show you two more tricky words that you really have to look at and figure out, why is it spelled this way? So these are the two words, and I want you to look at them and see if you can figure out what they say and see if you can figure out what the trick is about these two words. If someone's next to you, you can whisper that to them, or you can say it out loud to me. I feel like I'm hearing some kids say some things. So, one thing you might have noticed is that both of these words have the word in the middle. So, we'll put both have in. So, when you say in, then if I looked at this word, I might say kind, kind, and finned. Do you think that's what the word is? Well, if you said no, Mrs. Shearer, that is not right, you are correct. Because you know what? In this word, the in says I. So this is kind. You should always be kind to your friends. And make sure you hang up your backpack so you can find it. So, see, this is very tricky, and this is something you have to remember. So, when you find this word, and if I see something at school or a poster and it says be kind, you can look at it and say, oh, I know that doesn't say kind because that doesn't make sense. And remember the lesson with Mrs. Shear, we talked about how kind and find don't look exactly the way they should. They are tricky words. But sometimes it's just one little part you have to study to figure that out and make sense of it. So you have lots of snap words in first grade, and part of your assignment today, you're going to be practicing writing some of those words. We will be doing more work with this, but just remember, you can use rhymes, you can use tricks to find out words, and words aren't always hard. You just need to look at them and figure out why they're spelled that way. And if there's a little hard part, just focus on that part and figure out the parts you know, and then think about how it's used or where you're using it or reading it in a sentence to figure it out. You will do a great job. Keep up the good work.